brought my intern.
We're pulling out all the tricks. I'm just telling you, whatever it is to get viewers in, we're going to try. And how can you not love that?
Yeah, Stella the cute puppy.
Let's get this out of the way. You're going to be up in Colorado on the 28th, right? Or you Zoom, whatever.
Yeah, it's on Zoom. You can register if you go to the Harmony website, and I think we can post the link. Actually, I can grab the link and post it in the chat. You can just sign up online. It's free. I'll be talking for an hour about working with families that are struggling with addiction and codependency.
Wow. Free? Like in free?
Free 99, baby.
Is there an upsell at the end? Are you going to, am I going to have to buy a place in Bahamas or something?
Well, don't give away all this company secret. There's no upsell. There's just like, hey, thanks for coming. I'm happy to have you here. That's really the whole point, man. It's just help people understand what the heck's going on. Oh, there's our girl Gina.
Yeah. Well, free information, free education. I mean, whatever. Go creep them over. Go watch Kevin on Instagram, Kevin W. Peterson. He's got all kinds of things on chronichope.us. I had someone reach out that said they went to chronichope.com. It's chronichope.us. You should still have been able to find it, but and they got this incredible Facebook group. I was up in Maryland. They're doing their own kind of group. They're looking for more family support. So I told them about the Facebook page. Just a lot of great things going on in Chronic Hope's world. So Kevin, we appreciate all the things you do out there. You're educating.
It is my pleasure. My pleasure.
All right. So you got all 3 dogs or just one today?
Just one right now, but who knows? The other ones will show up eventually. They kind of come and go as they please, is what it comes to.
So Gina's in. Please, if you guys got questions, fire them out. We got the questions. I'll normally get to them if I can pay attention. But anyway, when Kevin fascinates me so well, then sometimes I get carried away. But look at that. I mean,
oh my God, if you click that, can you click that? Did I get the whole thing? I think I got it wrong.
I think you click it. You can click it in the comments, I'm sure. But anyway, we're ready. So we're going to kick this off. Hopefully you know what this is. What is a pet therapy?
Leave us alone. Sweetheart. Oh, there's my girl Andrea. Oh my God.
Man, you got all your fan clubs out.
I know. So
all right, let's get right into it. So my father is addicted to, do you know what this is? Anyway,
okay. I'll look it up.
He's been abusing it for months now. He's never been prescribed it. He claims it helps his depression. How can I help him? He's unwilling to get diagnosed. So you have someone, I think we can just talk in general terms, like I don't know how he's getting it.
Oh,
that would be the question. But
it's Lunesta.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a sedative. It's a nighttime. So I mean, so it has never been described. Well, so is your dad's buying it on the street, huh? All right,
probably that Snapchat with all the kids are doing it, but abusing it for months. She was saying like he's 61, 62 years old. There seems to be no desire whatsoever to go get properly diagnosed or go see a doctor. I mean, this is someone that's caught in really abusing. I don't know if it's just this one or if he's doing other things, but how do you step into it with a parent and how to help them kind of, just get any kind of help?
Sure. Well, so that's a great question, and honestly, the funny thing is it's the same thing for someone who's like your spouse or your child. It's about approaching them and saying, hey, I love you, but I'm not okay with this behavior and I'm concerned about it. Now, as you and I have talked about in the past, with marijuana and alcohol, it's one thing. With drugs like this, it can definitely, this is more of what I would call a hard drug. I mean, this is a big deal. So I would want, to be able to sit down and have a heart-to-heart conversation with dad and make it clear that, I want to get you help. I want to help you get help. And I know the answer is going to be, well, he doesn't want any help. Okay, then it's time for you to start setting boundaries and start holding him accountable and saying, well, until the thing is, you're gonna die, and until you're willing to take responsibility for this and change your behavior, I'm going to change my behavior, and I'm not going to just sign off on this like it's no big deal. Now, I would also say, for a more detailed analysis of what I'm talking about, get into my books, watch more of our videos. I mean, we talk about how to set a boundary, how to hold them accountable, and how to be clear about what happens if they don't follow through.
It's all there. chronichope.us. Reach out to Kevin directly, whatever it may be. My brother has been struggling with drugs for years. Last year, we told his ex about our concern. She took my nephew, his son, the brother's son, cut off contact with us. My brother went to court, got 50-50 custody, kind of just checking the boxes. So he got custody legally. He's now back to kind of real concern. Here's a family kind of wanting to step in on the brother. They miss having a relationship. They don't want to lose that relationship with the nephew. Much kind of the same things we're talking about, but you got the family wanting to intervene because they're worried about a loved one. And then there's some family drama that's associated with the drug abuse. But what people need to realize is the solution cures a lot of things. So.
Right. And so, okay, so my brother's been struggling with drugs for years. Okay, well, then the answer is for you guys as a family, sit down, have some boundaries, hold him accountable. It's not about telling his ex, it's about telling him and going after him and being clear that, hey, and now obviously if it's, the bad enough where there's kids involved and there's probably going to, the stakes are higher,
Yeah.
But in my estimation, that's even more of a reason to say, hey, we're not okay with this. We're not okay with how you're treating your children. We're not okay with how this is going. We want to offer you help. If you refuse the help, then we're going to, set some boundaries. And the boundaries may be, if we know you're with the kid and you're loaded, we're going to call the cops. It's accountability. Here's the thing. For so many families that I work with, for some reason they have such an incredible avoidance of accountability, and accountability is the key to this whole thing. And I don't mean walking in with a 2x4 and slapping them around. I mean saying, hey, if these are the choices you're going to make, then they're going to come with these consequences. That's accountability, and if you're going to choose this, that's going to come with that. And we're not going to just stand by and act like nothing's going on and nothing's happening, because it could affect him and it'll affect his kid. So the most important thing I can tell you is, as a family, you need to change the way you're dealing with it, not expect him to change. If you change, it'll force him to change. And that's actually the solution.
Now, would you suggest, because there's a 50-50 custody, I think the main fear that they have is last time they stepped in, they thought the concern, and then the ex took the son and cut off contact from that whole half of the family, and she wants to see the nephew. And so she's getting in fear that the ex will then just cut off contact and won't let him see the kid again. But you also have a struggling addict within the family.
So the most important thing is getting dad sober.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
That's just there's just nothing else to say. And the safety of the kid, So if the safety of the kid and dad's sobriety are the number one priorities, that's what we got to go with. And the way to avoid the ex doing that is to sit down and talk to the guy and say, hey, we love you and we want to help. We want to offer some solutions. But if not, this is what's going to happen, and just that's really the best way to go about it.
You may lose your brother, so forth. So
yeah.
Our son is a veteran, 34 years old, has been in and out of treatment over 10 plus times. He's diagnosed with PTSD, continues to get counseling through the VA, but can never make it past 6 months of sober time. it seems to think that right around the 6 months, they've done several months of treatment through the VA. So the question is there she wants to know is ultimately, is there something within, like, is there time associated with relapsing? Are people like, with this case, it's 6 months, and she's worried, like, is there something around the 6 month that is preventing? And so she's kind of lost, if that makes sense.
Totally get it. And I hear this all the time, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, whatever. And here's the solution. Here's the thing. I think it's great that he's in the VA. That's fantastic. I think they have good services, and he's been diagnosed with PTSD. Here's the thing about getting sober, especially when you have PTSD. 30 days in a treatment center and then, hoping that he's going to stay sober after that is not a solution. What you got to find is a 30, 60, 90-day program for this guy, and then probably look at a 6-month or a 9-month sober living engagement. So it's what we got to do is a longer term engagement for folks like this that struggle with getting to past milestones like 6 months, 9 months, a year. The truth of the matter, if I had my way, every person that went to treatment would stay in some level of treatment for 18 months or 2 years. And I don't mean like they go back to work, they get back to their families, but I mean, I would love to see the first 3 months, in an inpatient treatment facility. The next 3 to 6 months, I'd like to see you in a sober living environment, going to PHP and IOP, partial hospitalization and intensive outpatient. And then the next 6 to 9 months after that is actively going to meetings, actively going to therapy. And then, we have to, changing someone's ways and changing someone's life is not going to happen in 30, 60, or 90 days. You're going to get a lot of education. You're going to get pointed in the right direction. But the real change comes after you walk out of the treatment center and go into like a sober living environment and do aftercare. There's nothing, I mean, that's just to me, that's actually more important, as silly as that may sound. The spectrum being initially going to detox, then inpatient treatment, then partial hospitalization, and then intensive outpatient, and then outpatient. And that can take anywhere from 9 months to 2 years. But that's how we implement change. It's not a quickie. You're not going to implement for someone who's 34 years old, who's been to war, has got PTSD, 30, 60, 90 days is not going to magically make it all better.
Do we know if there's long-term programming for veterans?
I have to be totally blunt with you. I'm not incredibly well versed on. Now I know the VA does offer psychiatric and therapeutic services, but I'm talking. I mean, I would look for wherever they live. I would look for a place that a sober living environment where he could live.
So they've mentioned they've tried sober living, and it just seems to be around the 6 month mark. But I want to reach out, and then I reached out, and I didn't get back. I mean, she never got back to me before, this show. But hopefully she does. But I'm wondering if it's lack of services and lack of funds. And so if there's anything, I'm going to do some research on my end and see if there's any long term. Because I don't know. I mean, it just seems like she mentioned sober living and longer than 30 days inpatient, but I don't know exactly so hopefully they'll get back and we can kind of get them.
Follow up with them, see what the story is. Yeah.
Our son is 20 years old and is a social media content creator. He makes his own money, own place, car, etc. He's never been able to put the phone down. So this is a prime example, long email, but so takes harsh comments really, really personally, cuts off comments, kind of goes into a black hole. I don't know if there's drugs and alcohol, but this is a family that's concerned about electronics, like phone addiction, kind of social media addiction. I mean, this is his livelihood, but also I think is turning into an addiction, which we're seeing more and more with the way the world is now. It's all on your phone. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, so here's an interesting situation. He's makes his own money. He's got his own place, got his own car. So they don't have a lot of leverage there, but they do have influence over him. And so what I would say is the first step is to sit down with him and not be harsh, okay, and just be like, hey, we love you, we're concerned, and we'd like to offer you help. Let's get you a help. There are different therapists, there are different programs. I'm not talking about stripping him away from social media and stripping him away from his phone, especially if that's how he makes money. But I am talking about, offering him a solution where he can incorporate it into his life and do it in a healthy way as opposed to an obsessive, compulsive, or addictive way. But that's where it starts. And if the response again is no, thank you, I don't have a problem, the typical response that we hear, then you got to take it to the next level. Then you got to be like, okay, well, here's the deal. We're gonna start talking about setting boundaries. We're gonna look into a coach. We're gonna look into an intervention. You got to start looking at all the options, because there are treatment centers and there are therapists around the country that specialize in social media and electronic addiction. So we treat this just like we do pretty much any other process addiction.
It's just like us. I mean, we go all in on whatever we do, whether it's drug and alcohol, then we get sober, then everyone wants to work out or eat, all kinds of different things. This is just another prime example. But anyway, we'll I'm about to lose power here. I didn't plug in my all right, let's get. I got electronic. I forgot about power. So, last question. Our daughter is 100 days sober, yet still states fentanyl is only thing that makes her feel normal. She's in sober living, yet reports are they're concerned over her fentanyl fascination. So here's the case that 100 days sober, but seems to be like the drug of choice. Like, this is the only thing that has ever made me feel normal.
Yeah. Amen. I mean, I get it. And again, this goes back to what we were talking about before. 100 days doesn't solve the problem. It's going to take a lot longer. As a matter of fact, it may take a year or two. That's why we got to stay engaged in sober living. We got to, and not just for a little while, but for a long while, and that's why I'm getting a lot of static and feedback. Are you hearing that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's weird. Anyway, I would say this is why it's important to consider this a 6 month, 9 month, a year and a half concept, not 30, 60, 90 days. Or even 120, 180 days. Because I know for myself that it took me probably a year and a half before I was like, hey, I can survive just fine without drugs and alcohol. And it just takes time to flush that out of you. So this is normal for your daughter. Don't be mad at her. This is normal, but that's why you got to stay engaged and stay with her throughout the whole process. I would say a year and a half.
So, like you're saying, there seems to be some baselines for approaching most of these questions that we get each and every week and stuff like that. So, like, I don't know if this is going to come out clean or not, but could you kind of just talk about really, I think, how families maybe educate, and maybe we need to be the ones telling them that they, sending Johnny or Sally off to treatment or doing whatever isn't going to fix all the other issues. There seems to be, like you always say, like, if you're asking them to get treatment, make sure you're willing to do something, get help for yourselves as well. You kind of want to just in the intro levels of what is kind of finding help for the family, the loved ones of the addiction, kind of what's kind of some baseline expectations of, if you get people into treatment or they're currently in treatment, what are some kind of baseline expectations in Kevin Peterson's world that you'd ask for the family? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. So, the thing is, if we get someone to agree to go to treatment, and let's say we were looking at like a 90-day program, for me, it's important for the family to be willing to do their own work while that person's in treatment. And I don't mean they got to go to treatment, but they need to be working with someone like myself, someone who understands families and addiction, someone that understands family dynamics and family systems, and will educate them. The families that I work with while someone's in treatment, we spend time reading my books, reading Codependent No More, reading Facing Codependence. There's tons and tons and tons. We read about trauma. I have them watch, Pleasure Unwoven. There's so many resources that I throw the family at. And I want them to understand that this is about teaching them that yes, that person has an addiction and has a problem and needs to be fixed or worked on, but so do you, and how you respond. I always tell them, you're not responsible for their addiction, but you are responsible for how you respond to it. And we need to change the way you're responding to it, because the old way is not working. And the other big thing is that if you set the example by getting into your own recovery and digging into your own stuff, it raises the bar. It raises the bar within the structure of the family that oh no, we're not just going to act like it's all you're the one with the problem. We're going to realize that, yeah, you have a situation, but we all need to deal with this, and we all need to deal with us and how we're responding to it. And that's a healthy family. A healthy family operates, it's my favorite phrase, right? Healthy families come from healthy individuals. Healthy individuals work on their shit. Everybody has shit, we're going to talk about your childhood. So that's how it works.
And this isn't competing. If they're in a treatment facility, this isn't competing. This is actually educating and working together. And so you're more prepared for when the clinician or the facility calls, like, different questions. I mean, you're preparing. This is all a team approach. This isn't competing or anti against the facility by any means.
No. It's not an us against them. It's a team group. It's a team effort. So look at Andrea.
Yes, I can't change others, but I can manage my responses. There's always a choice involved. Amen. But, like I always tell families too, like when I got sober, I'll use my own, all the time and energy I used for drugs and alcohol. Like I got sober and I had all this free time on my hands. And what I always saw with my mom, and I even brought it up, is my mom all of a sudden had all this free time because she stopped, she cut down on worrisome. She didn't know where Jay was. She didn't need to, so families in itself, just on the baseline, you're going to, all the time and energy you've done to kind of love them back to health or whatever you want. My mom always said, like, I just need to pray more or whatever it may be. So that's working on yourself. Their families are going to realize that if you can cut down on the level of worry, he's safe. Sally's safe in treatment. This gives you plenty of time. So any family that says, I don't know where I'm going to find the time, they spent a lot of time worrying about the loved one. So you got plenty of time.
It's true. It's absolutely true. I think, there's just so much to be said. Oh, look at Andrea. There's so much to be said about helping people. The best way to help someone is to take care of yourself, and that's the most important thing, is that, you can change the family dynamic by changing you, not by changing somebody else. So.
Well, amen. We all can get help. No matter what it is, even if there's not drugs and alcohol involved, if we can all do some work on ourselves and take a look at our childhood. Like I know it's meant the world to me. So, another show in the books. You got any pressing or anything that's kind of on your mind? Anything you're seeing?
Oh my gosh. No, I think that's, right now that's really, I love the flow of the conversation today, the stuff we're talking, because it all comes back to the same thing. It's like, how do we fix them? Well, you don't. You fix the way you address the way you're dealing with them and the way you're talking to them and the way you're approaching them.
We got a question coming in, so just keep talking. We'll get a question.
Oh, okay. All right. Andrea's going to hit us up. All right.
So,
we're waiting.
This will be a good one. This will be a good one.
She's the best. Oh gosh.
Who let the dogs out? It's always Kevin.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, Stella's
you got it. You got us. But I'm gonna let us. As always, tune in every week. If you're watching this during the week, don't hesitate to fire off a question. We'll get to it in the comments. We can get to the next week. If you want to keep sending me emails, I get blown away, truly blown away that people are still sending in questions. So we're gonna keep hosting this, and we're gonna keep putting Kevin on the spot. And one of these weeks we're gonna trip him up. One of these weeks he's gonna be like, I don't know, but so far it hasn't happened. Go on chronichope.us. Kevin W. Peterson on Instagram has got all kinds of incredible content, and so as always we do this Wednesday nights. 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. I don't know
All
what
right.
that means. 4 Pacific. I don't know what that is. No, it's the West Coast. But anyway, I'll see you next week, Kevin.
All right, brother. Talk to you later.